Hey, we want you to look at your screen right now. At this video, only on 2, what you're seeing here is a 5-year-old boy literally being dragged down a hallway inside Cy-Fair ISD's Tips Elementary School. The boy's mother was a teacher at this same school, but did not learn the severity of this incident for weeks. The boy's mother is joining me now live to talk more about this incident. Nicole Graves, thanks so much for coming on this morning, Nicole.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we want to sort of get to the bottom of it. You can explain all of these events, but we're looking at charging documents from the court that show that your son was dragged about 143 feet. And you can see that that person, I believe a teacher, is dragging him by an ankle. Can you talk about, did your son have any injuries from that incident?
Yes, he had a carpet burn on his back. I believe it was from the impact of being dragged on the carpet, even though he was also dragged on tile.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I say teacher, but it was a paraprofessional, to use specific terms, who works at that school, who assists in special needs classes. So that person has now been charged with injury to a child. But tell us how the school initially handled this situation, and police actually did get involved?
Yes, I was called into a meeting the day of the incident and told that he was mishandled. I didn't know specific details about how. When I saw him, he had an ice pack on his lower back. So, of course, I looked at his lower back and I didn't see anything. I didn't realize that it was his upper back until we got home and I actually, was able to fully examine his body.
And so they called you in to share that with you because anytime your child is injured at school, right? I mean, they're supposed to notify you. Is that why they were telling you this? Okay. And then, and so obviously as a mom, you probably had lots of questions. At what point did police get involved?
They were involved right away, actually. They did handle it swiftly. I got to speak with a detective of Cy-Fair Police Department. They did their investigation, and from there, it was forwarded to the DA's office.
Wow. And so now we're learning, you've told us that there were other incidents where your son was restrained, and you've shared with KPRC that one incident led to actually you losing your job because you worked there at the same elementary school. Can you share more of those details?
The number of restraints I initially told was 21. It was actually almost or over 40. Sorry.
That's okay. And Nicole, just to kind of to put this into perspective, and I know this is difficult for you, for families who may not have children working with paraprofessionals in public schools or in any setting where you're not always there to know what's going on, talking about those restraints, I mean, that's something that is not supposed to happen at all?
No, it's not a part of his behavior plan, and in my opinion, excessive. So when this May 12th incident that you're referring to took place, I was trying to avoid another restraint because she had called for more help. And, I'm right there, like my classroom was 20 feet away. So I was trying to avoid him getting restrained again and just de-escalate so I could send him back to class. And as you can see from the video, she was blocking my contact with him.
That is what we're seeing in that video. We do see you come into the view. I mean, and Nicole, you worked there and taught there. And like you said, you were 20 feet away and didn't know, you said, about all of the incidents of restraint. I can't even imagine what it must be like for families who may hear this, who have no idea what's happening when their child is at school. The police got involved. Where does this case stand?
I've been terminated from the school district, and he's now currently at another school where his behavior plan is being followed very effectively. He actually loves going to school now, whereas last school year it was a fight every morning, from being restrained literally daily. It's so much better now, and I'm just glad that he's in a better place because that was my biggest concern, just making sure that he recovered from all of this and to help him understand that what he went through is not normal.
Yeah. What did you do at Tips Elementary? Were you a teacher, paraprofessional, or what was your position?
I was a fourth grade teacher. I've been a teacher in Cy-Fair for 10 years, but I've taught a total of 17 years. And my termination, it was challenging because I have no other history of any wrongdoing. The colleagues that I work with, the parents that I've supported, and the students that I've worked with, all have great things to say.
And what did Cy-Fair ISD say about your termination? I believe we did have a statement from Cy-Fair that, just telling our producers, it looks like it is not in the script right now, but I do remember reading that before we came out. What did they tell you about your termination, why you were terminated?
Because of my constant not following of directives involving my son.
Got it.
And also, there were times that, sorry, I would be late to school, but I'd be late because I was dealing with my son, having to encourage him to be at school and know that it's a happy place, and help him understand that what he was going through is not actually how it is, even though it's what he went through, sometimes multiple times a day. And for parents that may be in a similar situation, please don't be afraid to speak up and be an advocate for your children. Unfortunately, there are things like this that happen in schools that districts try and hide from the media. But if your child is telling you that something is happening to them at school, believe them, even no matter how bizarre it sounds. Just know that they're telling the truth, and support and speak until somebody listens.
Suit has been filed against Fort Bend ISD over shocking allegations involving an elementary student with autism.
Yeah, that little girl's mother spoke only to our Chaz Miller this afternoon, and he joins us live in studio with what she had to say. Chaz?
Gina, that little girl hasn't been in school since October, according to her parents. The mom said they filed this lawsuit because they felt like Fort Bend ISD just wasn't doing anything about this. The now 8-year-old hasn't been in school for months, but her mom tells me the scars remain.
I don't think I'd ever feel safe bringing her back into a Fort Bend ISD school with what they've done to her. My daughter wakes up in the middle of the night saying, "Please don't hurt me. Please don't kill me. I promise I'll be good."
The lawsuit alleges that daughter suffered from abuse at Oakland Elementary School from spring through the fall of 2023. Petard's daughter has autism, a speech impairment, and anxiety. Her parents sent us these photos of cuts and bruises they say came from the hands of staff.
When you see your daughter come home with bruises all over her, not little scratches, but actually red and black and blue marks, and you have a kid calling you multiple times a day saying, help me, they're hurting me, and it breaks my heart.
The lawsuit claims the little girl was forced to sit in a locked police car at one point so she could be, quote, scared straight, and that she soiled herself while in there. Other allegations include various forms of restraint, including having a pillow held on her head to the point she couldn't breathe. Petard said they tried multiple times and ways to get the district to help, but that had never happened.
The district's really failed at this.
The family is looking for damages related to mental anguish and mental health care. They also hope this lawsuit makes the district change the way they fund and teach special education. So we have reached out to Fort Bend ISD. They got back to us. They said they're working on a statement in response to this. However, we have not yet received it.
An Humble ISD special education teacher is facing felony charges, accused of hurting an autistic student and allegedly telling other teachers they could do it too.
She is also being investigated for allegedly giving students melatonin sleep gummies. Stephen Goen joins us live with the details. And Stephen, we understand you're hearing from one parent tonight who claims her son was also injured by the same teacher a decade ago.
Mia, that's right. The mother I spoke to is wondering why Amber Reynolds was allowed to be near children again after she says her son was physically and verbally abused by the same teacher in 2014. Amber Reynolds standing in front of a judge Thursday.
Ms. Reynolds, you've got one charge on the docket today.
The former Humble ISD special education teacher now facing a felony charge for injuring a child when she was employed at a district elementary school last September.
The fact that it's a warrant case means that another judge has already found probable cause for the case to go forward.
According to charging documents, the principal at the school says she saw Reynolds yank and drag a student by his arms. The child's mother says she found bruises on the 5-year-old later that day. 2 other teaching staff members said Reynolds had previously told them they could take that child into the bathroom and beat him.
Humble ISD knew what this teacher was capable of.
Stacy Watson tells us her son was a student of Reynolds almost 10 years ago at a different elementary school in Humble.
And he would come home telling me she would throw him on the floor, throw him up against a wall, call him names, or drag him across a room.
Watson says she even tried to pursue a federal lawsuit against Reynolds and Humble ISD in 2016, but the case was dismissed.
They weren't willing to take an 8-year-old special needs child's word, against an adult who claims she did no wrong.
In a statement from Humble ISD, we're told Reynolds is no longer employed with the school district. District reps say Humble ISD is also investigating claims that Reynolds gave some students melatonin sleep gummies. Now, Reynolds is currently under investigation by the Texas Education Agency for these new charges. Her bond was set at $10,000, but she's already bonded out of jail.
Substitute teacher has been removed from Cy-Fair ISD after a family accuses him of pushing their 10-year-old son with special needs.
Now we're blurring the teacher's face because he has not been charged with a crime. Devon Raming joins us outside Duryea Elementary School in Katy, where this allegedly happened. Devon.
Well, Reka and Lynn, the 10-year-old's parents tell us the child is back in school here, but it's been a struggle over the last month getting him here because he's scared. Tonight, this is the video in question, which is not fluid, but appears to capture an image every few seconds. Charoslyn Carson says her 10-year-old son, who has special needs, was pushed to the ground by a substitute teacher at Duryea Elementary School in Katy.
My son was tapping a pencil. The teacher asked him to stop. Said, "You better stop tapping that pencil, boy." He didn't stop. He said, "You want to get pushed out the chair?" My son said no, and that's when you proceed to push my child out the chair.
At another angle of the video, the teacher appears to reach towards her son before standing and pointing a finger at him.
Any other parent would be concerned about the same thing too.
The incident happening early last month, leading to an investigation with the Cy-Fair ISD Police Department.
The Cy-Fair ISD police that did the investigation called me and told me he was not pressing criminal charges because he don't see a push.
Community activists now calling for accountability and charges for not just the teacher, but 3 other school employees they say witnessed the incident.
We're going to put a spotlight on any form of corruption or anything that is egregious that is being done to our children.
The Cy-Fair School District releasing the following statement saying, in part, the individual is no longer a substitute teacher in the district. Additionally, the district has just been made aware of the allegations regarding the 3 teachers and is investigating.
My child shouldn't have to be worried about coming somewhere where he's supposed to be learning at.